Now we do focus bull. Marcus on TCU 5 numbers after the name. A little games beating action over here. A little Assassin's Creed Origins. Not Odyssey. Origins. Told somebody the other day that I just beat Odyssey, and they were like, "Huh?" And I was like, "Oh, my bad. Origins. You're right. My bad." It's dope, man. Needless to say, this game came out in October, and I just got around to it last month. I took my sweet time with it. I figured I'd like it. I've liked every Assassin's Creed game. Obviously, they've had their faults. To me, Syndicate, Unity was definitely probably the worst that I played. I put Syndicate right up there. People like Syndicate. I think it was whack. Like, I don't know. It didn't really do it for me. 3 was okay. You know, obviously the peak to me of the series was the Ezio trilogy. It's also just the peak of like where I was in my life and stuff like that. And we were in like open world games. I think if you go back and look at it, and I've been curious, I'm interested in copping the Ezio collection, but maybe like a 10, maybe 15 bucks, something like that. I haven't seen it that cheap yet. But for 10 bucks, I think one day I'm gonna buy and like replay those games. Because I'd be curious to see like if I still really like those games. I think the thing that I like those games for, the main reason was the narrative part of it, the story. You know, I was hooked by it. I really like enjoyed it. I wasn't a big AC1 guy. I thought that game was a little bit just diluted, but the story was cool, and I thought it was really fleshed out. And you know, AC2 and Brotherhood and Revelations and all that jazz. Revelations being maybe a little bit, but Brotherhood to me maybe was like the best one of those games. And then you kind of go Black Flag, and people love Black Flag. I'm not the craziest Black Flag guy. Rogue was aight, but it kind of fell in the same place as Black Flag. And 3 was okay, but slow-paced. And definitely the hype train behind 3, I think, killed 3 and really sent the series off spiraling a little bit. And then you had Unity, the first one that came out on new consoles, and that kind of had a bad rap with the glitches and all that. I never really ran into any. But, you know, there was the images out there, and I just thought it was kind of a whack game. Like, it was just, like, the story to me was kind of whack, too, so I didn't really, like, vibe with it too much. And Syndicate, I thought it was a little bit more fun story, but, I don't know, the setting was kind of whack. Like, those two settings, France and the industrial, like, revolution part of, like, Britain, that's not something I'm interested in. So when I saw Origins, and I saw it was in Egypt, that was pretty cool, because I honestly haven't played too many games that are in Egypt. And how crisp and how clean it looked, I was very much like happy about that. Now, what I heard though was like RPG elements, levels, all that different stuff, and I was like, wow, that doesn't really fit an Assassin's Creed game. So I was curious to see how that kind of played out. This is still pretty early on. I think this is actually like the stuff that they showed us in like the demo. This little area over here, kind of the beginning of the game. It's just like maybe a couple hours into the game. One of your first kind of major missions. So there's basically the way that Origins kind of works is that you have like this leveling system that you get just by getting your regular experience like you always used to do in Assassin's Creed games, and you level up, and that allows you to take on the mission. You can take on any mission at any point. Like, you go to the hardest part of the game if you want. You're just not going to be able to kill anybody. So that falls into kind of the Ubisoft, same thing I had with like Division stuff, where like the artificial creation of difficulty by numbers. Although I guess that is always numbers, right? It's in the code. But to me, it's one thing when it's in the code and you can't see it, and when you actually see it. Like, you're like, hey, man, like, I could kill this guy, but no, he's level 32 and you're only level 27, so nah, like, you can't hurt him. That to me is a little bit unfair. I prefer it, though, when I'm like the feeling of when I'm 30 and that guy's 32 and he's a little bit harder, that's fine. But you should always be possible to do it. And I'm sure you can be able to possibly do it at any point. You just really take a long time. So the artificial creation of the difficulty and the structure of the areas to me was a little bit unnecessary. Having said that, though, story, very good. Graphics, amazing. Now I'm playing it on the Xbox One X. It is one of the prettiest games I've ever played. I haven't touched The Witcher 3 yet. I've heard that thing is sick. I haven't touched Metal Gear Solid 5. That's sick. That's when I come back in Spain. I'm going to take on one of those big guys. But what I saw like with this game, whoa, like, it looked beautiful. Gameplay-wise, it plays like an Assassin's Creed game. A little bit better, a little more fluid, but still all that kind of is there. And then there's, you know, you can use a variety of weapons, which I thought was cool. You're no longer just constricted to the hidden blade and a random sword or whatever. You really could use anything you want. And there's like kind of a loot system behind that kind of stuff as well, where you kind of level things up and whatnot. So the gameplay arc to me is slightly improved. Still not as great as you probably like it to be, but it's slightly improved from previous or from past Assassin's Creed games. Narratively, the story, I thought it was very good, and if you let yourself kind of get immersed to it, tons of side quests, and a lot of them were really good. It wasn't just like do this same thing over and over and over again. It was, hey, here's this take on this, here's this take on this, here's a story, here's a story. You can get achievements for something like that. There's a bunch of different types of like activities. There's these tough flackies, I think they're called, or whatever, that I come attack. There's a lot of stuff in this game, and I spent a ton of time. Like I let myself get immersed in it. And it did it. So to me, I'm giving this game like a 9, probably a 9, 9.3, something along those lines. A little bit shy for the 9.5 range. But this is a very good direction for the series, and it makes me so pumped for Odyssey because it's building off of this. And I'm really curious to see kind of where they take it, graphically, story-wise, gameplay-wise. 10 out of 10 on the future of Assassin's Creed.